What's good everyone, Smudgy here, and today I have the top 10 loadouts in my opinion. They're the ones that I've been using the most, especially since the recent changes. Obviously there's a ton of variation, a ton of viable guns right now in both long range and short range, so a lot of these options can kind of be combined and switched and changed depending on what you like. So by no means am I saying, you have to use this long range AR with this SMG or anything like that. You can kind of chop and change depending on what gun feels best for you. But I thought I'd run through them real quick. I know there's a ton of choice out there. People aren't always sure what to run or what even is viable because there's a hell of a lot of misinformation out there with streamers and YouTubers trying to get their names on the board by posting some of the more outlandish classes you can use, but probably not in the top tier. I personally always make sure I have a troll class in there. Just thought I'd kick off the video with that. Of course, riot shield, Kali sticks, restock, and a nice little stun grenade to go with it. Purely because I think it's funny. There really is no other way around that. If I'm having a bad day, that's usually what I'll hop on and do. But I usually have a long range sniper rifle in the back pocket in case I do want to play a bit of a slower game. Maybe I'm playing with friends and we're going for wins. I do like to have the HDR in my back pocket. Of course, this is a pretty standard setup by now. I think a lot of people know it. The monolithic suppressor, the 26.9-inch HDR Pro, TAC laser, variable zoom scope, and F-TAC Stalker Scout. I know some people prefer to run a bipod if they're really unsure with the sway of the gun. I personally don't see much point in it. It's a really easy gun to control, and the idle sway is very little in my opinion. And then I actually coupled that with the Vex Lord, which of course you can get on ground loot within Cold War just without the agency suppressor. So I put on the agency suppressor, the 13.7 barrel, Tiger Team Spotlight for movement, the 45 round mag, and the SFOD speed grip. This is built to be a really snappy, quick AR, that weird SMG AR hybrid that you see a lot of people rocking right now, purely to kind of deal with those engagements where the HDR is a bit too slow. If I want to clear a building, maybe this is the sort of gun I'd use, but it's very much this is a far slower paced kind of loadout. This is very much a sit back and enjoy the view kind of thing. If I am going for wins, I will probably rock that. Maybe I'll put on claymores if I'm really feeling like going for the win and being just a little bit sweaty, a little bit of a shithouse. That was what I run. Now next, I actually have a fully loaded GRAU. Purely because one, I really like the GRAU, I still find it a really enjoyable gun to use. But two, if I'm dropping back in late, maybe picking up my loadout in the 5th circle, I want to rock Ghost, especially if I'm the last one on my team and I'm trying to work and get my teammates back. But also I don't want to be running around losing for ammo if I can avoid it. So I run fully loaded. I don't actually run a sight on it. That's kind of the trade-off. I know some people really do like to have the 3 times on it. I personally don't think it's that much of a trade-off, but I will have fully loaded, and it also means if I get one of my teammates back in late circle, I can drop them a bit of AR, and we're pretty much set to go with Ghost as well. I run Kali sticks out of preference, doesn't really matter. And then I actually have a RAM Max 10 class. I've been using the RAM quite a bit in this season, and I love it. I'm a massive convert. It has a faster TTK than the Amax. I know that a few videos have been going viral saying that, and it feels really good, especially if you play a lot of Rebirth. It's a fantastic gun for that because there's no massively long distance fights you're going to be taking for the most part. It's a fantastic gun, and I pair it up with the Mac personally, but of course you could switch that out for anything you want. I actually run the monolithic, the FSS Ranger for that damage range and bullet velocity. The optic, although if you don't mind the iron sights, you could maybe kind of switch that out for a rear grip and maybe something that increases your sprint to fire speed because it can feel a little bit sluggish at times. You got the 50 round mag and the Commando foregrip just for a little bit of help on that recoil. If you haven't tried the RAM, I'd highly recommend it. It's a great gun. I don't know how it's been slept on for so long. I know there's been a few OGs in the community that have been singing its praises for a while, but definitely check that out. And then the Mac 10, pretty standard agency suppressor, 5.9 task force, SFOD speed grip, 53 round fast mag, not the drum. It feels like it slows me down too much. And then I run no stock as opposed to wire stock just for that extra sprint to fire time. I just want my Max 10 to be as snappy as possible is the honest answer. Like I say, I run this predominantly in Rebirth, very close quarter engagement, so speed is everything in those things. And you'll notice that I've slowly been making the transition to throwing knives and stuns away from heartbeats. purely because I think it improves my own game. It forces me to be more aggressive and rely less on a heartbeat, so I am trying that out, trying to get better every day. This one's a bit different. It gave me a strong brewing vibes in that the stoner slaps, and it has slapped for a while, it always has slapped, but like it really feels like it compete with the best of the guns long range now, especially if you're a bit more of a slower player. Not so much campy, but like a bit slower, you take the gunfights a little bit more cautious. So for this, I run an agency, a 21.8 task force, a field agent grip, fast mag, and the 3x. You could put on the SUSAT multi-zoom, and we'll get onto that a bit later. I personally run the 3x. I might experiment with the multi-zoom in a bit, but 3x, it does the job. And the Stoner's recoil really is non-existent in my opinion. It doesn't feel like it requires next to any correcting, and it definitely gives me Ruin vibes, so if you were a fan of that meta, definitely check that out. Then I actually run it with the recently buffed PPSH. I was glad to see they gave it a buff because honestly this gun was like one of my favourite guns of all time, and I'm so glad to see it getting some love. On this we're rocking the GRAU suppressor, the 15.7 task force, Spetsnaz speed grip, 55 round drum, and the PKM stock. If you tried this gun out when it first came out and decided it was trash, give it another go. It can definitely compete, especially if you're a fairly accurate player and you know what you're doing. It's a nice little gun to play around with. Maybe not, you know, top tier meta, but it definitely kind of supports the Stoner quite nicely. And then I actually have a restock class for my MP5. This is the Cold War one. I do have a Modern Warfare setup coming later, purely because I've been trying, like I said, to get a bit more aggressive. So if I'm playing solos or duo solos, I will quite often not rock Ghost. I'll rock Restock instead. I'll grab Restock so I can keep replenishing, you know, throwing knives, Semtexes, stuns, whatever it is, just to try and increase that levels of aggression, because it has fallen off a little bit. I haven't played much Warzone kind of prior to season 2 Reloaded probably. I just kind of fell off, focused a lot on Cold War. But on this, I'm rocking the agency suppressor, the task force, the Tiger Team spotlight for movement, no stock, and the 50 round fast mag. This is a super zippy MP5. It feels a bit weird at first with the recoil patterns, but once you get used to it, it really does hit real hard. I said this back in season 1 probably, when Warzone integration first happened. The Cold War MP5 hits like a brick. It is well worth a try if you have not already. And then the KRIG. The KRIG is a fantastic gun. The buffs they gave it to make it to what it is was well needed, and it's kind of here that you see the SUSAT multi-zoom really come into its own. So for this we're running the agency suppressor, the 19.7 Ranger, field agent, and 60 round fast mag. You could run the 60 round. I don't really... The trade-off doesn't really bother me for ADS time because this is a longer range gun, so I'd rather have that reload quickness if I need to pop up and, you know, finish someone off quickly at distance. Now the SUSAT multi-zoom feels... There's very little visual recoil in my opinion. I know some people prefer the 3x, but there's something about having that versatility to be able to zoom in just a little bit more and finish off those shots about an enemy that's, you know, being corny, you know, 300 meters away trying to snipe you. That feels really nice on this gun, and the recoil really doesn't change when you zoom in. It's a really good gun to play with. I'd highly recommend giving it a shot with the multi-zoom if you have been rocking it without it. Definitely give it a go and see how it feels. It might not be for everyone, but it's worth a shot. And I rock this with the BULLFROG. The BULLFROG, it seems like the consensus is split on it. People either hate it or love it. It's the GRAU suppressor, the task force again, the 65 round serpent wrap, and KGB skeletal stock. I really like the BULLFROG, I always have. I think it's a really good gun, it's really fun to play with. You know, it might get outgunned by some of the really top tier close range weapons, but it's certainly capable of holding its own. I really do enjoy it. And then we actually have my Ghost class, which currently is the Fara. This kind of rotates based on whatever AR I'm feeling at the moment. But the Fara, we're rocking the GRAU suppressor, the 19.5 inch Liberator, Spetsnaz 50 round, and KGB skeletal stock. You can see that I don't actually have it leveled up completely, so there'll probably be a few tweaks to this, and there will be a million videos out on other class setups for this. This is personally what I'm rocking, and it feels really good. Like, especially with this blueprint, it unlocks a few things that you don't get till later on. So if you haven't got it, you know, completely leveled up, there are other options and lower levels. And of course I do rock this with the Psychov. Just without the akimbo, I stick on the VLK Elita for that extra recoil control, because as kind of like a backup weapon with your ghost class if you're coming in late maybe and you don't want to grab fully loaded. It's really, really good. It's fantastic. I need to change my GRAU class over to having the Psychov. I haven't got around to it yet. It's a fantastic weapon. Any nerf they tell you they gave, they didn't really. And then I actually have my fairly snappier sniper class that I will also rock in Rebirth for the most part, and that is of course the trusty Kar98 with the monolithic 27.6 tap laser sniper scope and sport comb. Fairly standard, I think most people know this by now. And I actually coupled that with the LC10. The LC10 is a great SMG. It has been since the start of Season 3, let's be honest. You could pair it with any gun on this list and it will do well. I rock the Agency Suppressor, the Ranger, the 55 round mag, just a standard one, the Serpent Wrap and the Wire stock. As you can see, once again, I do not have it leveled up completely and it still slaps. Like, if you can create a gun that slaps at lower levels, you know it's a good gun. So don't be afraid to kind of like use it just because you think you don't have the best attachments unlocked. It's still a fantastic gun. Obviously that main one you want to get unlocked is the Agency Suppressor, but if you did use the Battle Pass last season, then you would have already had it unlocked with the Agency Suppressor, so no need to worry there. And then finally, this is kind of my go-to for more aggressive games in Verdansk, is the Amax with the Modern Warfare MP5. I was rocking the Cold War MP5, but we've gone for the Modern Warfare recently, and it feels alright, I have to say. Pretty standard Amax setup with the monolithic Zodiac, VLK, 45 round mag and Commando. Now the reason I am actually rocking the Modern Warfare is I've seen loads and loads and loads of people saying that the Modern Warfare MP5 feels as good as it did, you know, back when it was the dominant SMG. I'm not sure if it does, but it definitely still feels good, and I think it's quite nice sometimes just to play with muscle memory of how the recoil pattern goes, because I think everyone can fire this gun, you know, with their eyes shut. I'll probably change it back, or maybe I'll change it to like the LC10, something like that, but at the moment it definitely feels like it can compete, which is nice because it kind of been shoved out of the frame for so long now. Running pretty standard setup, monolithic, Merc foregrip, 45 round mag, laser and F-TAC collapsible. Pretty standard. People have their own variations on what they prefer to run. It's been out that long, people know what they do and don't like. And that is the final loadout. Those are the 10 loadouts I've been using. Definitely some top 10 contenders there. Let me know what you're running in Verdansk this season down below in the comments. As always, if you did enjoy the video, give it a like. Subscribe if you want to find your way back. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.